We're back on golf today as we check out some industry notes from the National Golf Foundation. More than 8 million women and girls now play. Record diversity among players. On-course golf participation surpassed 29 million players last year. And total golf engagement has surpassed more than 48 million Americans. And Greg Nathan, President and CEO of the National Golf Foundation, joins us now. Greg, nice to spend some time with you. We sit here on the onset of spring. People are excited about golf. What are the numbers telling you? They've been great the last 5-6 years. Are the numbers still strong?
They're incredible, Damon, and good to be with you and Eamon. I like to say that golf is having its mic drop moment right now. More people playing more golf in more ways than ever in recorded history. And, it's one thing to have the metrics to look at that we do. It's another to be connected with the leadership of the top golf companies in every sector who we confirm that with. And it's just an unbelievable time in recreational golf.
What do you look at, Greg, as the metrics that are perhaps more forward-looking, that are indicative of the longer-term health of the game, or perhaps anything that might be worrisome going forward?
Well, what I've been leading with lately is the fact that 4 of the past 5 years have been all-time record rounds. The last time rounds were that high was around 2004, 2005. And what's special about that comparison is rounds numbers we're achieving today are with 2,000 fewer facilities, 3,000 fewer courses. So that tells most people anything that they would need to know about the balance of the golf economy and how it's never been better. And that is not going to be diluted by the construction of thousands of golf courses, which is the situation that we were in the past when rounds were so high, around the turn of the millennium. With the building boom, that great supply and demand balance was diluted. And right now, you're not going to see a lot of building of new golf courses to dilute that. Land is just too expensive in the top U.S. markets. And therefore, we've been opening fewer than 30 golf courses a year for the past 15 years. So you're not going to see that. And that's really what underpins the long-term strength of where we are right now.
Greg, that said, the numbers, according to your foundation, will tell you that the price of public golf has slightly outpaced the price of inflation over the past 5-6 years. Why is that? Do those numbers need to come down a little bit to have even more, not just increased participation, but diverse participation?
Damon, the last thing you'll ever hear me say is that golf course owners and operators should take less money. It's amazing that supply and demand works. It's amazing how supply and demand works everything out. What we've seen is that golf's consumables, which I would include rounds in that, actually rounds, balls, gloves, have actually been moving roughly the same as inflation nationally. It's in many other areas of the business that certain products have been outpacing the inflation rate in America. But rounds of golf have been right on line with that.
So where are the headwinds in this industry then, Greg? Every industry has them. What are the potential headwinds in golf?
Eamon, what I see right now is not so different from what I would have said 5 years ago, which is it's outside forces that we really need to be paying attention to. The number one threat to golf is always the accessibility and affordability of water, number one. Also an outside force. The other two are a geopolitical event, and one could argue that we're in one, but I think it would need to be more severe and closer to home. And if that happens, it's not golf that we're worried about. And then the third is recession. And I do think that the recreational golf industry is much more resilient, capable of being more resilient today to recession than we were at the time of the Great Recession.
Greg, you have said arming Mike Wan and the USGA with data can be challenging and rewarding. It is U.S. Women's Open Media today. Why is it challenging and rewarding compiling those numbers for the USGA?
You know, it isn't. It isn't just the USGA. We're so fortunate. The top 130 companies and organizations are what we call executive members, and it's those companies that are, you know, the most influential in golf, Mike Wan and the USGA included, that we're always pushing ourselves to provide the type of information and insight to help them make smarter decisions. That's the position of the NGF. So it's a worthy challenge. It's what we come in to do every single day, is to try not just to be bean counters, but to be more social scientists, to talk about why people do what they do in golf and how that type of more insightful information versus just giving numbers. That's what we're really striving to do for Mike Wan and the other leaders in the industry.
Well, after a tough winter in the Northeast especially, may the sun continue to shine on the game we all love. Greg, thank you so much for joining us on Golf Today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.